class, I just wanted to help you out with Chapter 12 homework. And when we look at our homework, it's going to be 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 12. And I just want to focus on the ones that deal with net present value. And so in the book, the net present value is calculated using present value charts and tables, and that's on page, if you have a hard time finding it, it's on page 598 and 599, and it's the page right before chapter 13. And so they look up every value that you're trying to find, they look up a present value factor, and then they times that to get a net present value. So that's kind of tedious, and I think that's pretty old-fashioned since we have Excel and high-powered calculators. So I'm going to show you how to do it on Excel or a calculator, and so you'll need to do either one, the calculator or Excel, on the final exam because I won't give you those tables. And so it's hard to show you, or it's hard to tell you something just by emailing you, so that's why I'm making a video now. And so we'll just start off with brief exercise 12-1. So 12-1 on page 579. The management of Kunkel Company is considering the purchase of a $40,000 machine that would reduce operating costs by $7,000 per year. So the investment is the machine. It's going to cost $40,000, going to reduce operating costs, or that's like an inflow or benefit every year, $7,000 every year. At the end of the machine's 8-year useful life, it will have 0 scrap value. The company's required rate of return is 12%. So if you're using an HP12c, so you would just want to clear out. Sorry, let me make this bigger. So you just want to, push F and CLX, just clear everything out of the registers. Make sure you start off with zero or nothing. And you would start off with that investment, that $40,000. And it's an outflow because you're buying it, and so you would do a negative $40,000. And then I'm going to push G and CF0. And every year for 8 years, $7,000 is our benefit. So $7,000. So that was cash flow 0. Now I'm going to do cash flow 1, and that's going to be the CFJ. So I'll push G, CFJ right there. So that's year 1, but there's 8 years that we're going to get this benefit. So if it was exact same cash flow, you could do 8 years and then push G and NJ because that's 8 years and it's done. But if you have cash flows that are not exactly the same, you'd have to push in each cash flow year, whatever it was. If it was like 10,000 or 2,000, whatever it is, you would push it in and continue with this CFJ. So since it's exactly the same for 8 years, I'm just going to keep it exactly the same. It already says 7,000, so I can just use that for my next year, year 2 cash flow. So I already did year 1. Now I'm going to do year 2. So G, CFJ, that's my year 2. Now year 3, I'll do it again. Year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, and year 8 CFJ, that blue CFJ or payment button. And so now I have all my cash flows in, but I need a discount rate or required rate of return, so 12%. And remember, when you're using a HP12c, it's never like 0.12 for 12%, it's always just 12 for your 12%, and that'll be under I right there for our interest or our rate of return. So now that we have in our discount or our required rate of return in all of our cash flows, we're going to look for the NPV, this NPV button right here. And that's orange, so I need to push the F button to make it orange, and NPV. So for my NPV, I got a negative $5,226.52. So my NPV is not positive, so I would not want to purchase this machine. So if NPV is equal to 0, that means I've met my required rate of return and it's a good project to do. Or if it's above its positive number, then you are exceeding your required rate of return. But since I'm not exceeding my required rate of return, this is negative, and I wouldn't invest in that machinery. So if we look at let's see, I downloaded this answer sheet let's see. I wonder if I can. view it, rotate it clockwise. Okay, just so you can see what you'll see for the answers. So in the book, looking at those tables on, I think it was, did I say 599? Right before chapter 13. So they look at the cash flow and then they look at this annuity factor at 12%, and then the initial investment 40,000 now doesn't have a present value factor, and so they'll look at this NPV that way. So they had to look up both of these factors, and so that's pretty tedious. But if you look at the answer, it is this. Let's see, what do they want for the answer? 5,224 or 5,227. So something along those lines. Oh, right here. This is what you'd put in your calculator. So you'd get something around 5,224 or 5,227. And so as we look at our answer, we did get that same exact answer, that negative 5,227. If we want to look at it in Excel, we could do that as well. And so you would look at negative 40,000 would be your outflow. And then in year 0, for example, and then in years 1 through 8, 1, 2, 3, and so on through year 8. Oh, come on. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have that 7,000 inflow. I'll just put it down here, 7,000 for the next 8 years, right? Oh, no mistake. Okay. Okay, so in your computer, you would do equals NPV. So that's your function, equals sign NPV, and then a parentheses open bracket. And your rate of return, remember they said it was 12%. 0.12. Over here you will do a 0.12 or 12%. So 0.12 was the required rate of return. And then you will do just your cash flows. Just your cash flows for the years that you're looking at. So don't include the initial investment. So over here you will get the NPV, not including your initial investment. So you have 34,773, and then you will take out your initial investment. So you could do that one minus 40,000, or just add your negative 40,000. So just take that out. So we get the exact same number that we did in the calculator, negative 5,226.52. So in Excel, I really like how you lay it out. You know, you put in your initial, and then if there's any cash flows that are not equal, you can put those in. And if there's a salvage value, they said that the salvage value at the end was 0. So I didn't include that in our cash flows. But laying it out on Excel makes it a lot more clear. You can add in a salvage value and other things to your cash flows. And then so you would just do the cash flows from years 1 to whatever the end of the years. Don't do 0. Don't do your initial investment, and your rate, whatever rate they tell you, that has to be given, your rate of return. And then take out your initial investment. And that's how you would do it on Excel, just to get the exact same answer that we have in our calculator. See, exactly the same. So hopefully this is helpful. I will go on to do other problems, and hopefully this will help you with the exam and your homework.